So, as you all are probably aware, I fucking love Star Wars. I dress up as the characters for Halloween and conventions, hell, sometimes just for the hell of it. I made an entire 30-minute video about why I love the Clone Wars so much, that you should totally go watch after this. Every time I get a whiff of a new Star Wars game, I snort that shit like crack. I even paid people to draw my Star Wars OCs. You get the point. I love this stupid sci-fi universe to death, and I will love this stupid universe that George Lucas made until I die. However, even I am aware when this franchise is bad. And,
Oh, they fly now!
They fly now? They fly now!
yeah, it's had some rough times. There are times where the stories are pretty shitty, and the writers drop the ball. And boy, did this story really drop the fucking ball. What I'm about to tell you is by far the worst Star Wars story that I have ever encountered. A story that was so frustrating to even comprehend that I didn't even think it was real at first. A story that I would happily remove from the canon and want it to be completely erased from existence and my memory.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Okay, yeah, that movie was pretty bad. But for real, it's this campaign. Star Wars Battlefront 2 EA Legendary False Advertising 5 Guardians had the worst single-player campaign that I have ever gone through to this day. It has everything that I hate, not just in a Star Wars story, but in a story in general. Plot points that have no logic behind them, forced personality shifts that come out of nowhere, unlikable characters that we're forced to spend time with and only get worse as the game goes on, and a romance scene that happens completely out of nowhere. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? This story was so frustrating and enraging to me the first time I played it. I remember I played through the whole thing in one sitting just so I wouldn't have to go back to it. And, I'm gonna have to go back and play it. Now, I know some of you are thinking, Jake, why not just look back at the cutscenes since that's the focus of this video? I mean, all you really want to do is look back at the story, right? Well, the main reason is, 1, I like torturing myself, and 2, I really need to emphasize the pent-up rage that gets built up when I play this shit. God damn it, I'm gonna fucking hate this shit! Alright, let's get this over with. So I just beat this campaign again. Honestly, it was worse than playing it the first time. Probably because the first time I didn't know how shitty it was going to be, but goddamn, this campaign is not fun to play. Okay, now all things considered, I actually like the opening mission to this campaign. Yeah, I know it's been memed to death when the game first released, but it actually sets up Iden's character really well, as this elite soldier for the Imperial. It really starts strong and shows promise of a new, interesting point of view. I mean, it doesn't keep that promise, but it's trying at least. This opening shows how much Iden has been through as an Imperial soldier, and how much she hates the rebels. And I'm sure she would totally stay loyal to the people she's fought alongside with since childhood, and totally won't go back on everything she stood for on a whim because the writers were too stupid to think about anything creative with this sorry excuse of a story! But we'll save that for later. So anyway, Iden gets sucked up into space and she dies. So Iden lands back on her ship, talks about how great of a leader she is, then her and her squad of BFFs go on to Endor to stop the rebels once and for all, but we all know how the movie goes, and the space terrorists blow up the Death Star again. Being reasonably upset about this, Iden goes over, murders a bunch of rebels, takes some TIE fighters, and go up into space. Now I actually really like this mission. When you're blasting off into space and flying through the debris of the Death Star, it's actually really moving to see what this once giant monstrosity of a station reduced to nothing but scrap. And even though Janai has this really weird Batman voice with her performance...
This destruction is the true face of the rebellion. It's the reason we've been fighting so long.
You tried to make them afraid, we only made them angry.
Someone told me once that rebellions are built on hate. I never stopped believing it. How are we supposed to find
You're gonna
out?
stop believing it. I don't know, it just sounds off to me. What she says probably represents what a lot of the soldiers in the Empire were going through. They were devastated and probably lost a lot from this defeat. So anyway, Iden's daddy is like, hey, come see me. So she goes and does that.
The Emperor is dead.
Well, I beg to fucking differ! So he tells you to go get some solar panels that will make everyone in the galaxy really happy, so you go do that. And I'll admit, I actually like this mission too. Attacking the rebel cruiser, watching everyone run away from you when you enter is so satisfying. And it's awesome to infiltrate a large cruiser and blow it up from the inside. That's such a cool idea. It would be amazing if that was implemented into the multiplayer, but I imagine that would be too difficult to do. There's no way a company could manage something like that. Oh, wait. So after this mission, the crew gets new assignments to find the Emperor's secret porn stash, so they send Del, this is Del by the way, to go delete his browser history, and at this point, we play as Luke. Now, there's some conflicting opinions about this mission. On one hand, people have mentioned how they love Luke in this mission, and they say that he acts exactly how they expect him to. And I agree, they got Luke's personality right with these cutscenes. Taking place after Vader's death, it's really great to see how much he's grown. And his conversation with Del really sells his performance.
So what happens now? We both walk off in separate directions and pretend like this never happened.
I don't think you can. There's still conflict in you.
Of course there's conflict in me. I'm not blind. I know what the Empire is capable of, but what else is there?
A choice?
The rebellion?
No. A choice to be better. May the Force be with you.
This scene does give good depth on why someone who is already doubting their superior officers would abandon the Empire. Hell, Luke doesn't even really say to join the rebels, he just wants them to be better. However, there is two problems with this mission. The obvious one is that this mission is so fucking boring. All you do is slap bugs around for like 15 minutes while Del pulls a ghost from Destiny and struggles to open a fucking door. And the other problem is, why is Del the one that's talking to Luke in this situation? Or better yet, why isn't Del the protagonist? In a way, it makes more sense than Iden being the protagonist. Also, this is a personal thing for me, but they really fucked up the swap perspective storytelling. And I think I know a way it could have been used better. Now, I'm going to touch up on this later in the video, so just keep that in mind. It really upsets me because these scenes with Luke show the potential for something really cool in this campaign. Even if the gameplay is shallow, the roots were there to show an interesting conflict. So Del and Luke go into the Emperor's secret stash, and Del gets ready to fulfill Palpatine's dying wish of deleting his browser history, and Luke takes an unimportant compass. Alright, next mission, let's go! So the three idiots get a new task to go to Vardos. So Vardos is an Empire-ruled planet full of people that are loyal to the Empire. It's where Iden grew up and trained to become the elite soldier she is now, which is actually pretty cool. Maybe we can see some citizens devastated over the loss of the Death Star. Or maybe we can see some war propaganda painting the rebels as terrorists. Or world building on the benefits of having an Empire culture growing up and fully believing in the Imperial. And the Empire is about to blow the whole planet up. Man. So Iden bitches to her father and he's like, hey, do what I say or no Xbox for a week. So they go down there, save this one high-ranking officer before they blow the planet up. Del's crying because the Empire is going to shit. Haas keeps on sucking off the Empire and they just need to save the bug lady. Iden and Del want to save more people, but Haas is like, no, that's not what Daddy said. And Iden's like, well, I'm running away then! And she shoots him in the leg. Her and Del run away. Fucking goddamn, I hate this. Once again, we paint a complete black and white picture over the two factions. We have to have the Empire doing something terrible to reinforce the evil and corrupt shit that the Empire do because they are the bad guys. Empire bad, rebels good! This scene is so infuriating to me because it shows the writers were not creative enough to make a legit reason for Iden defecting. Instead of doing the hard thing and having a character slowly but surely come to the realization that everything they stood for has completely corrupted their mindset and they can just now break themselves out of that cycle. They chose the easy way and just had the faction they fought for years nuke their hometown and then they cry about it. This scene is so stupid. It's like the season finale of Rebels when they were threatening to nuke fucking Ezra's hometown. No one gives a shit. And before you say it, yes, I get it. It's a formula that has worked in the movies. It's what made the original trilogy so good. It was a simple hero's journey type story. But every now and then, I want something new, something not so black and white. And when you're marketing your entire fucking game about fighting for the Empire, I expect to see more morally gray topics in a story like this. It's why people like the KOTOR games so much. The topics in those games are a lot more than just the standard good versus evil shit we've seen so much about. If your campaign is gonna be black and white like this, then at least fucking market it as it is. Ever since Halo 5, I've been so fucking sick of being lied to in the marketing. Be honest and at least try to do something creative. Okay, kinda went on a tangent there, but back on topic. So Aiden and Del just murder a bunch of their former comrades and then they fly away. They have the typical bullshit talk about how they can't believe the Empire would do this and they don't know what to do now. They're both war criminals to the rebels and traitors to the Empire. But then I start to think, maybe the story can start to redeem itself, you know? We may not have gotten the true Empire point of view, but maybe we can see a story of these two former soldiers trying to get out of a dangerous conflict that has engulfed the entire galaxy. It can create some cool gameplay scenarios where you're caught in the middle of a crossfire and you have to fight through both the Empire and the rebels just to survive, and find whatever salvation you can.
What can I say? I'm a big believer in second chances.
God fucking damn it! This not only makes no fucking sense from the point of view of Aiden, someone who was raised basically fighting and hating the rebels, the people who were a constant threat to her way of life, and blew up a station with thousands of her comrades twice! It also makes no fucking sense for the rebels to trust him either, because these two, not even a fucking week ago, just murdered dozens of rebels and completely decimated a fucking rebel starship on their own.
Why the hell would Lando trust the Empire after what they did to him? Write that down as more blatant character assassination.
Yep.
Well, Jake, clearly it would be beneficial to have someone with knowledge on the Empire on your side. So clearly, it makes sense that the rebels allowed them to help. You obviously just didn't pay attention, you fucking piss baby shit.
Okay, sure. Yes. I understand that having someone with heavy knowledge and training in the Empire would definitely be a benefit to your cause. But you would not just say, here you go, have some X-Wings and go shoot some people. You would keep them captive for a long time, have them spill as much information as they're willing to, and then use what they gave you to do it yourself. Obviously that wasn't possible because Aiden is the playable character and we need to have her back into the fight somehow. But it's just a poor and rushed way of getting her to go Empire defect Rebel in the span of 20 minutes. There's no character arc or emotion with other characters. It's just so flat and infuriating. So you take the X-Wing, fly to the surface of Naboo, and blow up some evil space satellites, and I gotta say, I actually like the space missions in this game. So there's at least some enjoyment to be made. After blowing up the Amazon satellites, you fly over to Naboo, where Princess Leia is there holding the line in the palace, and now you go through some wave defense sequence playing as her. And now we get with the next problem I have with this campaign. Throughout the story, you are swapping perspectives between Aiden and 5 other playable heroes. It's so obvious that they just threw these missions in to have a cool moment with a recognizable character and keep the player's attention. That and switch up the gameplay with playable characters in the multiplayer. Story-wise, only 2 of these missions serve the main story with Aiden in a meaningful way. And gameplay-wise, with the exception of the last mission, these hero levels are either underdeveloped, uninspired, or boring as hell. So you would go through wave defense, destiny, bullshit, Aiden and Shriv go do their own thing. Oh, another positive, I love Shriv. He's the best character in this entire game. Anyway, an EMP gets activated off screen, all the stormtroopers' weapons malfunction, and the rebels win. Yay, good job, team! So then there's the scene where Aiden and Del are like, can we please join the rebels? And Leia's like, fuck it, sure.
Realized that we were fighting for the wrong side.
Empire bad.
And I'm thinking to myself, why the fuck were we not playing as Aiden in this mission? You know, the main fucking character of this story? That's another problem with this campaign. It's trying to be a story about a soldier caught between 2 different perspectives on one hand, and on the other hand is an epilogue to Return of the Jedi. It just feels like this should have been 2 separate stories, which honestly would have been a pretty good idea. Seeing these characters make cameos is more distracting than exciting. and I would rather see them interact with each other in their own story rather than awkwardly invade Aiden's story. Speaking of which, we now move on to what is probably my most least favorite mission in this game. Playing as ugly bearded Han Solo, walking around, and chatting up some random schmucks at Maz's castle. This shit is so fucking boring. I hate when shooters do this. Stop trying to be a fucking RPG, let me shoot people! So you find the schmuck that has information that you need, and he is the most annoying piece of shit ever. He never stops talking.
Great.
I can't watch! Oh, but I can't stop! Huh? Do you know stormtroopers only land 77% of blaster shots?
This game has something against object.
going?
I don't know.
Imperial officer surrender seeking asylum. Our starfighter numbers are down. I'll just be over here. Safe and sound. You can't abandon me!
You get attacked by the Empire, shoot some stormtroopers, get on the Falcon, blow shit up, usual bullshit. Then Ide comes in to save you. Oh yeah, Iden's here, by the way. Remember? The main character of the game? The person that we should probably be playing as the most? Next level, Bespin. So here's some positives. Bespin looks gorgeous. I know that's a given because this is on the Frostbite engine, but I love how it looks in this game. Cloud City has always been one of my favorite locations in Star Wars, so I'm always eager to see what it looks like in any media. So this mission is more or less the usual shit you're used to. Iden and Del land on Cloud City, kill a couple troopers, and then they need to infiltrate the Imperial base, so they disguise themselves as stormtroopers. You know, the more I talk about this game, the more I realize that this whole campaign is just a 6-hour drawn-out Rebels episode. No wonder I hate it so much. By the way, fuck Rebels. Fuck this show, fuck these characters, and fuck what they did to Clone Wars. I know it came back and we got an ending, but I still haven't forgotten or forgiven. Right, we were talking about Battlefront 2. Anyway, you walk through with your hitman disguise, go into a tower, and then Hask is like, haha, losers, you thought we didn't know. Oh yeah, Hask is the main villain now. I forgot to mention this before. He got promoted to commander, and there's only one cutscene we get with him, so he doesn't really get much development beyond being a dick. I don't know. Maybe he gets developed in the Inferno Squad book. Maybe that'll have good writing, right? So you try to capture him, but he's already on a Star Destroyer, and unfortunately I'm not playing as Galen Merrick, so I can't just rip the thing down with the Force, so you run away. Lots of shit blows up to keep the player from falling asleep. And then you take a Cloud City airship and proceed to bomb an entire Star Destroyer recharge station. Now we have successfully made the Empire look really fucking pathetic. Now listen, it's not that I am against lighthearted stories in Star Wars. I'm fine with simple stories that are able to joke around a bit. But I, at the very least, want the tone to be consistent. And this campaign is not fucking consistent. It's a problem the sequels have as well. The tone for these stories are constantly at odds with each other. One moment we have a soldier that's griefing about all the war crimes they just committed, and then the next moment we have Han Solo that's just fucking about on Takodana. Alright, what's next? Is it the Lando thing? Yeah, it's the Lando thing. Okay. Yeah, it's another hero mission because they need to keep throwing playable characters from the multiplayer in your face. Now, I talk a lot of shit, but this mission is actually pretty fun. The dialogue with Shrib and Lando is really entertaining, and it's fun to listen to their banter. Makes me wish I was playing an entire campaign around them, but fuck it. Level design-wise, it's pretty fun. They do utilize Lando's abilities pretty well with this mission. It's the usual objective, kill troopers, blow shit up, press a button. I'm used to it at this point. And then there's a part where the game thinks it's being funny with the objectives by naming it shit like, press some buttons? Just shoot the thing. And in any other game, I would appreciate them for having fun like this, but I'm so deprived of emotion from playing this that it just goes right past my mind. Oh, believe me, I want to. I've already mentioned it before, this hero mission is definitely better than the last few, but it still fucks with the main story and pulls the attention off of Iden, which is the main person we should be following. I must sound like a fucking broken record at this point. Alright, 2 more missions left, thank fucking Christ. So it's a multi-stage level on Jakku.
Why does everyone want to go back to Jakku?
Shut up, Finn. Come back when you're a main character. You go to Jakku to end the Empire once and for all. Aiden and Shriv set out to blow up some Star Destroyers, and Aiden is like, hey, don't die, Aiden. Wait, are they just now showing romantic tension between these two? The fuck? Why was this shit not established throughout the game? That probably would have been a good thing to flesh out. I mean, yeah, they interact a lot as friends and squad members, but this is the only time we've seen them show interest in each other. It's like the end of fucking Gears of War 3. Except that game was actually good. Whatever, it probably doesn't matter. So Aiden and Shriv go down to help out the rebels that are fighting on the ground. You fly around, shoot some ships, land, shoot some guys. It's kind of cool to see the battle that preceded the Jakku graveyard in Force Awakens.
The rebellion dies.
Today, the Empire dies.
I fucking hate you. So you kill more stormtroopers. I don't even know why they had Aiden defect at this point. Could have just started out as a random rebel soldier and it would have made more sense. You blow more shit up, take off again, have a space battle with Haas, which is actually pretty fun. Then Aiden is like, I'm gonna get my daddy out of this ship. So you land on the ship as it's falling. Jesus fucking Christ, really? Then Aiden gets in and tries to convince her dad to come with her, and this conversation is actually pretty sad. Commander Versio is just completely broken, watching everything he stood for come crashing down. Literally. He's completely content with staying behind and dying with the ship, knowing deep down that he deserves it for everything he did in the Empire. He let the Empire control his life to the point that it was self-destructive, and he even tells Aiden to get out and live her own life. He never says it, but it shows that he forgives her for defecting, and is even a little proud of her for doing so. But while I do like this character revelation, it is too little too late. We very rarely see Admiral Versio throughout the game, and while this speech does make sense, they should have shown us more of this. They should have shown us more of what the Admiral was doing with his internal thoughts, and shown how the Empire has turned him into a jackass. Or maybe this conversation could have been something else. Maybe Aiden could have been the one to say this to Del. So I've been warming up to this for a while, so just stick with me for the rest of these missions and I'll tell you what I'm thinking. So Aiden gets on an escape pod, it blasts off into the coarse rough sand. The droid and Del find her.
We won.
Oh, don't you give me that shit! You literally just swapped teams so you would fucking win, you traitor! I'm so fucking sick of this. Let's just wrap this up. So the two traitorous fuckers kiss out of nowhere, and Shriv is almost as sick of this bullshit as I am. Alright, time for the best mission in the game. So now we flash forward years later, where we see Kylo Ren on a planet where Luke and Del were on. They have Del as a prisoner, and Kylo does his forced mindfuck interrogation thing, and it's actually really fucking sick. It's an awesome way from a gameplay and a visual perspective how this mindfuck ability works. They did a really good job with the visuals on this mission. I was probably just so frustrated with the entire campaign that it was just nice to come let out and just kill shit. Also, Kylo Ren is really fucking intimidating in this scene. He just decimates Del's mind and makes him crack like an egg. Then after Ren gets the information, old grumpy Haas comes in sulking in like, what the fuck man, bros before hoes, and Del is like,
Best pussy I ever ate.
and then it's over. Fucking finally, it's over. Until Resurrection, but I'd rather slip my wrist before playing that shit. So yeah, this campaign is absolutely horrible. Characters have no logic behind the choices they make, cameo characters that only appear to distract the player, forced relationships that have no structure or build-up, a tone that is consistently shifting, a main character that is both not properly developed enough and completely unrelatable, and the story is nothing like it was advertised. I've seen my share of good and bad Star Wars stories, and this one is definitely the worst Star Wars story that I have ever seen. But I'd hate to end this video without sharing some alternative. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through what I think the story could have been, and what could have made it better. Now, I'm not a game designer, this is just me throwing ideas at the wall of what comes to my mind. Also, this is a creative luxury that I have, and I understand that the people that worked on this game did not have that. But anyway, Let's begin. So as I said before, the first few missions are pretty good and set up Aiden's character pretty well. So in this hypothetical, we're going to keep the first 3 missions the same. The first change I want to make is the mission where you play as Luke. Instead of swapping to Luke and seeing everything from his perspective, we are going to swap to Del. This is what I was saying before with the swap perspective storytelling. So the mission can play out relatively simple. Del takes a team into the caves, but then suddenly you and your squad is trapped. The bugs attack, and you try to fight them off and get picked off one by one, and you're suddenly overwhelmed and put into a cocoon. Hours go by, Del starts to lose hope, but then he looks up and sees Luke. Very similar to the actual game, only now we see it entirely from the perspective of Del. So Black Mesa had a really unique thing in the beginning of the game. It's very different from the original Half-Life. Instead of having a crowbar early in the game, Gordon is completely defenseless. You have to use flares, and the first guard you see in the game has to go with you to keep you safe. It gives a level of vulnerability to the player. So instead of mowing down bugs as Luke, what if we relied on him? Del still has the equipment to take down a bug or two, but he needs Luke to stay alive. If you go too far away from him, you're as good as dead. It can also show how powerful Luke's presence is. Story-wise, we can keep it relatively the same. They go into the secret stash, Luke gives his speech to Del, takes the compass, and so on. But now we show a different POV of a character that is already doubting the Empire, and he just talked to someone that is basically a hero to the rebellion. We subtly build up Del's character and that he will defect. See what I'm getting at here? So now we get to the Vardos mission. This is where some big changes are going to come in. So instead of the stupid ass blowing up the planet shit, we're going to go with what I think is a more logical thing for the Empire to do in this situation. After the destruction of the second Death Star and the death of both the Emperor and Darth Vader, the Empire is pulling out all stops, starting with the most loyal planets and drafting as many people as they can to make up for the soldiers they lost. This time, we can actually walk through the streets of Vardos, seeing troopers go doorstep to doorstep getting capable people to join the ranks, whether they want to or not. This can also foreshadow the use of child soldiers in the First Order. We can also see the 3 interact while this is all happening and they're walking through the streets. Hask is as you expect. He sees this as absolutely necessary and says shit like, oh, they should be proud to join or whatever. Aiden is sad to see husband and children forced into the ranks of the Empire, but she understands that this is a necessary evil, something that they would have to do for the Empire to survive. She keeps telling herself that the Imperial Army would only do this for the good of the people. Del, however, is not standing for any of this. He clearly sees that the leadership has fallen off for the Empire and he does not want any part of it. While they keep walking, they see a kid being dragged by a group of stormtroopers while his mother is screaming for him. This causes Del to lash out and he demands the trooper to let the kid go, rambling about how this isn't the Empire he knew. He shoots and kills the troopers and wounds Hask, knocking him to the ground. Aiden and Del aim their guns at each other, but neither of them fire. They are both staring at each other, waiting for one to make the first move. Then Del runs into an alleyway. Aiden shoots but misses, completely blanked out as she didn't expect Del to do something like this. We now cut back to playing as Del, now in deep shit as he is in heavily guarded territory and the entire Imperial Army wants him dead. Now this mission got way more intense, as you are now completely on your own and would rely more on stealth and hit and run tactics to get out. The mission would play out as such, without the AT-AT part, and instead of escaping on the Corvus, Del gets out with a TIE fighter. Aiden and Hask report what happened to Admiral Versio. He is disappointed in Del, but he very quickly shrugs it off. To him, Del is just a coward that is running away from his responsibilities and will pose no real threat and shouldn't be focused on. Hask gets pissed about this as he took Del's betrayal very personally, but Versio shuts him down and gives him and Aiden a new mission. There is a revolt going on in Cloud City, citizens are getting rowdy, and are starting to push back after the rebellion's victory on Endor. So they are to take a squad there to calm the situation and use whatever is necessary to do so. From here we can see a cutscene that shows Aiden alone on the Corvus thinking about what has happened. Flashes of Aiden and Del spending time together as squad members looking back at all the good times they had when they were together. This is where we can suddenly show that Aiden did have feelings for Del, rather than just pulling this shit out of nowhere at the end. You need to pace these things, writers. From here, we can see that Aiden is more hurt because it wasn't just someone who disobeyed orders. It was a trusted friend, someone she deeply cared about. From here, Hask can come in and check on her and ask what's up. She shrugs it off, but Hask knows that she can't get Del's betrayal out of her mind. He even presses her if she really missed her shot, or if she missed on purpose, moving closer and closer to Aiden, pressing on about this idea. Aiden responds by punching him in the gut and telling him not to talk to her that way again, and storms out of the room. They arrive on Cloud City, where there is a large revolt going on. Rebel soldiers have been infiltrating Cloud City in an attempt to free it and regain its independence. You play as Aiden, take out the rebels trying to free the city, and make your way to the center of town, where there are a group of Imperial soldiers that are all collected. The morale is incredibly low after the loss of the second Death Star. Soldiers are hanging their heads low, wondering if there's even still a point to fighting. Aiden sees this, gets up on a podium, and she makes a speech about how hope can't save the rebellion, aka what they showed in the trailer that is nowhere to be found in the fucking game. Oh wait, excuse me. It's a fucking emote. How could I fucking forget? We seriously got this bitch as a playable character, but not Ahsoka? Come on, DICE, get your fucking priorities together. Anyway, the troopers get inspired by Aiden's speech, and they all stand up, swearing not to give up. After this, we cut back to Del, who has turned himself into a rebel fleet, and he is rambling on about how he wants to get out of the Empire, and he's willing to do whatever they want for him to join the rebels. And you know what? Despite what I said before, they're actually going to give him a chance. They're going to give him a ship, and they're going to let him go on a mission to prove himself. However, this mission is borderline suicidal. He has to go to Solist and destroy an Imperial factory. Basically the mission with Lando and Shriv. Only this time, it's Del completely on his own. Yep, I'm going full Halo 2 in this bitch. Surprisingly, Del manages to destroy the base and make it out alive. The rebels are impressed by the fact that he's still alive and let him join a squad, but he is on a very short leash. From here on out, we would be jumping back and forth. We play a mission with Aiden in the Empire, and then a mission with Del in the Rebels. It's not perfect, but it does set up these two characters as foils to each other, except this time, we're focusing on them and what their perspectives are, rather than awkwardly pushing these pre-existing characters in your face to try to connect everything to the original trilogy. And that's starting to become a running fucking theme with Star Wars in general. But that's besides the point. The final mission would take place on Jakku, much like the original. It can play out relatively the same, only difference from Del's point of view at first, all the way up to the half space battle. Then Del and Aiden confront each other one last time on the Corvus. Aiden screams at him for betraying the Empire, but Del chimes back saying that the Empire had lost their way, and this was his only option. After they go back and forth, the player then has a decision on who to play as. Pick Aiden, the objective is to eliminate Del. Pick Del, the objective is to take out Aiden. This would play out in two slightly different endings. If the player picks Aiden, she takes Del out to near death and is about to kill him. But right before he dies, he says, "It's been an honor, Mom." And Aiden breaks down, filled with regret for what she did. She falls to her knees, and the X-Wings from outside continue to bomb the cruiser, and the Corvus crashes. If the player picked Del, he's forced to take her down. But before she dies, Del goes up to her and says he's sorry for that it had to be this way. But that is when Aiden pulls out a detonator and blows the ship up herself, killing both of them and finally eliminating Inferno Squad completely. Now you may be asking, Jake, what's the point? Why have a choice if they both die anyway? Now the reason is to show how destructive this war has become on both sides. No matter what, people were killed and lives were ruined, regardless of whether they were fighting for the Empire or the Rebels. Yeah, I get it. Empire are bad, but the Rebels are just as destructive with their tactics. The point of this ending is to show that even though these were special forces, the main characters in this story were still just as disposable as the other soldiers, much like the story of the original Battlefront 2. Now, this isn't perfect. I'm not saying this game had to be the Star Wars equivalent of Spec Ops: The Line, but this at the very least tells a more interesting story than just bad guy who turns good. And I really think this game had the potential to really add something new to the Star Wars canon. And it really upsets me to see how it turned out in reality. But honestly, I've rambled on about this game long enough. And I'm pretty tired of it. If you like this game's campaign for whatever reason, then that's fine. If you like Star Wars Rebels, that's fine too. If anything, I'm glad that there's people that can find value in something that I don't enjoy, because there are plenty of things that I enjoy that a lot of people don't like. Now, let's answer some of your questions. Why do you hate Pikachu? Do you have a favorite exclusion zone? Fucking... what? You ever gonna stream again? Maybe. With classes and work going on, it's been hard enough to make videos. But I definitely plan to get back to it in the future. Have you come to terms with Mass Effect's ending? More or less. Mainly just because as I gotten older, I'm able to appreciate something for way more than just how it ends. Attack on Titan is a great example. The thing about stuff like Mass Effect is that they hold such a legacy behind them that a single ending can't really ruin it for me anymore. What was your favorite route in Three Houses? Azure Moon, easily. It tells the best story in my opinion. Though I will say that my favorite house is definitely Black Eagles, for reasons.